Is doing well tonight. I call this meeting of the Prosper Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. Mays, would you please lead our invocation?
Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this evening. We thank you so much for the blessing that you've given us of this district and these towns that we serve. And Father, just the wonderful country we live in. And Lord, we just pray that you watch over us this evening, that you give wisdom, discernment, patience, Father, as we are blessed to hear from our community and our constituents. And Father, we just are so thankful for the administration and the wisdom and direction you've given them. Father, we again just pray for discernment this evening in our decisions. In your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Give me 1 second. Mr. Cochran? I mean, not Mr. Cochran. No, who am I looking for? Yes, Mr. Crownover. Where's Jeff?
He's over there.
He's hiding. Excuse me 1 second. Okay. All right. So we're now entering to the open forum communications acknowledgement section of the meeting. Let me read our standard language. The board encourages public comment. All public comments at regularly scheduled board meetings should be limited to school district governance and operations. If you have a specific concern related to an employee of the district or a specific student issue, you are encouraged to utilize the district's grievance procedures provided in board policies F&G, DGBA, or GF Local. Pursuant to Prosper ISD Board Policy BED Local, audience participation at a board meeting is limited to the portion of the meeting designated to receive public comment in accordance with this policy. At all other times during a board meeting, the audience shall not enter into discussion or debate on matters being considered by the board unless requested by the presiding officer. When necessary for effective meeting management or to accommodate large numbers of individuals wishing to address the board, the presiding officer may make adjustments to public comment procedures, including establishing an overall time limit for public comment and adjusting the time allotted to each speaker. However, no individual shall be given less than 1 minute to make comments. As presiding officer of this meeting, that's me, I have set the overall time limit for public comment to 30 minutes. And based on the number of individuals that signed up, today we have 16, so we may go over that a little bit. But we're going to allow each individual 2 minutes to speak. And Mays Davenport will watch that. And the Board of Trustees appreciates your active participation in the school district. All right? So, when you come up, please tell us who you are, give us your address, identify yourself, and then you can speak. We will start off with your reminder of the 2-minute limit. Mr. Logan Creel, why don't you start us off?
My name is Logan Creel. I live at 1620 Hidden Glen Court, and my topic is over the mask mandate. This district has made significant progress when we went back to school in person. This virus has made things extremely hard for all of us, though this district has made significant progress in the fact that we were one of the first, if not the first in the area to announce that we were going back to school in person, which I thank those of you in the board for doing such, because it has been amazing for us to be able to go back in person. Though that is not the topic that I am proposing for the discussion. And however, the topic is the mask mandate. Now that the governor has lifted the mask mandate, the justification as the main justification for the district's mask mandate is gone for it, because as Dr. Burnett said, and I quote, "We are just following the governor's orders," end quote. Now that the main reasoning is gone, the district has nothing to justify besides health concern, in which, don't get me wrong, our health is very important, but it's not up to you to decide what we do with our bodies. As the famous slogan goes, "My body, my choice," end quote. This is a mandate that forces us to do something with our bodies that we may not want to do, which is why we should have the option to wear a mask or not. That is a violation of our basic rights and would make you, the ones who are instituting the mandate after the executive order has already been lifted, tyrants in a way because you are violating our rights. And the masks have been shown to not work as reported by ABC WSAU from health officials. The mandate has now that the governor's mandate has been lifted, the current mandate that is in place would be in violation of Texas Education Code 37.0023.7a and b and point 10. It is also in violation of Texas Education Code 4.001 when it says that the school's goal is to quote-unquote provide students with a quality education. This is violation of the code due to the fact that it violates the other parts of the code.
Okay, Mr. Creel, I think your 2 minutes are up. Thank you very much for taking the time to come up and share your thoughts with us. Thank you. Oh, it looks like a family affair. Shelley Creel.
Prosper ISD was one of the first school districts to announce it would allow kids to go back to school, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for being brave at that time. I thank the teachers and leaders who did their job and got the kids back to school. We have been back in school since August. We have had some high numbers and some low numbers going down. At both times, masks were worn. They did not protect the kids from getting it when it was high, and it doesn't protect them from getting it when it's low. According to the Australian New Zealand clinical trials, randomized controlled studies, which are the only studies that should be followed, show that 97% of particles penetrated the cloth mask. That is 3% protection. I followed up with 7 more randomized controlled studies, all showing that cloth masks do not reduce significantly. So for a 3% chance, we are forcing our kids to hide their faces. How does a 3% chance make sense? When the kids are complaining that it is hard to understand the teacher when she is speaking on a mask, with a mask on, does it come to as any surprise that grades are suffering? Masks are impairing our children's ability to learn at their full potential. If you would look through TEA's aversion technique 7.b, forcing kids to wear a mask over the mouth and nose technically is prohibited by the TEA. Additionally, in technique 10, this states to inhibit and reduces and hinders the student's ability to communicate. As mentioned earlier, when it is hard to hear the student and teacher speak, this is in direct violation of TEA rules. Masks and social distancing is causing emotional issues within many of our students. I have personally dealt with a child that has been suicidal, and not just suicidal thoughts, but actually attempting to take their life more than once this last year. At a point when my child needed his friends most, we closed down, and I'm grateful to have things start up again, but children need to be able to sit next to each other at lunch and talk to each other. They need to be able to talk to their friends closely and intimately to help them solve issues within their personal lives. School is there for formal education and social education to a point. Let our kids see each other smile again. Let them hug each other. Let them sit next to each other and talk through their issues. Let them ask questions. Thank you. I do appreciate your guys as servant leaders to our community. Thank you.
My name's Wayne Creel. Family affair. Mainly just want to reiterate, the kids have suffered more emotionally than they have for the health. The lockdown, the isolation, everything that goes into that, and without having their social structure to help them, having the mask on doesn't really help anything. It may make people feel better, great. If they want to do that, cool. But for those that don't need to or don't feel the need, shouldn't be a mandate anymore. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, you go first. Hello, everyone. I came to this great country, the United States of America, 20 plus years ago. I came here for freedom. Freedom to speak, freedom for belief, freedom of faith, in short, freedom. I want to emphasize what freedom means in terms of making a child wear a mask against his choice. It is simply not right. He's not given a choice. That, to me, is the opposite of freedom. One time I was at a grocery store and an older couple made a remark, another one without a mask. And they quickly turned around. Typically, I don't like to confront, but I couldn't help noticing the man was wearing a veteran's cap. I gathered all my guts, I turned around, and I said, "Sir, thank you for your service and the freedom you fought for all of us that we have enjoyed. But please do not turn your back on me. I'm a freedom lover, and what just happened a minute ago is what I am going to fight for. I'm going to stand up for the freedom you fought for us years ago. This is our fight. I cannot and will not let fear win. Fear is and always be the biggest enemy. I urge that mandatory masks at school should be lifted ASAP. Students should be given the choice of either not wearing a mask or if they're comfortable wearing one, it's their choice, their right." Thank you so much.
Megan Fish.
Hi there, my name is Megan Fish. I live at 2560 Stony Brook Drive. Prosper ISD is an exceptional district. There's no question about that. We recognize the high standards set forth by district leaders, administration, teachers, staff, parents, and students. The district officials and principals have said, and I quote, "We cannot please everyone. What I know about trying to please someone is that someone always loses. For the losers in this case, those who are for mask choice, it seems the board has disregarded an entire group of Prosper residents, leaving parents feeling helpless and hopeless. Pulling our kids because we do not agree with the forced mask policy means removing them from everything they love. Put them in PISD and lose our rights and freedoms to choose what we feel is necessary for the physical and mental health and well-being of our children. I have read each of your Bibles and know some of you. This group that sits on this board are highly intelligent individuals. So then I ask, why are masks on our children the primary focus of mitigation? Why haven't you brought in the discussion publicly or communicated other ways to reduce the risk of spread? Given the current data points set out by the CDC, multiple trusted health sources, and time under our belt, we know that our children are not the population who gets, spreads, or is negatively impacted by COVID. Why then are we placing the brunt of the responsibility to mitigate the spread of the virus on the one group that doesn't catch it or spread it easily? I implore the district to review other means to help protect teachers and staff. It seems there is no discussion of how the district can take other steps to protect the population who is most vulnerable. We know this virus doesn't impact every age group equally. So why are we making a blanket mitigation plan instead of a more targeted or creative approach? If there have been discussions with regards to alternate mitigation approaches, it has not been communicated to us, and we would love to hear it. We are not asking that you remove masks completely should you choose. Simply masks become optional. What we are asking is that you return the rights and freedoms in regards to our children's physical and mental health and well-being back to the parents where it belongs and should have never been taken. Thank you.
I'm Karen Kirkman. I live at 760 Arrowhead Drive. I have 7 children, 6 of whom are currently Prosper ISD students. 2 at Rock Hill High, which they claim is an absolutely beautiful high school. I'm so glad you made it look like a hospital by putting masks on all the kids. 2 at Rogers Middle School, and 2 at Folsom. The 2 at Folsom are blessed enough to be under the age of the 4th grade. I'm so glad because the oldest one that's at Folsom is also speech delayed. This is ridiculous. He's autistic and he hates seeing the masks. They drive him crazy. It's not right. It's not. Now, I will also say, I am also very glad that you bestowed on us letting us go to school. I'm really sorry for that coming off so feisty, but it never should have been a question. It never should have been. My kids should not have been forced into masks. Anywhere. We go to Walmart, nobody is in a mask. We go to Target. I don't even know. Honestly, I don't take them anywhere. They stopped going places, and it's sad. It's sad. My 3-year-old doesn't even want to go to the gym and hang out in Child Watch anymore because no kids come. But let me tell you, that was never the problem. People have decided to make this fear thing, and it doesn't make any sense. I told my 11th grader and my 9th grader that, yes, the governor removed the mask mandate, but I did not expect you all to remove the mask mandates for school. And they said, what? You are telling and trying to get my children to be independent thinkers, and then they're not even allowed to do it. It's insane.
Hi, my name is Hillary Morabito, and my address is Public Record. I'm so disgusted and disappointed on your continued mandatory child masking. Dr. Ferguson and this board have the authority to make it a choice, and they have let this community down in hiding behind the TEA. It is shameful that the need to be well-liked has superseded and clouded doing what is physically, mentally, and psychologically in the best interest of our children, which is mask choice. Dr. Ferguson and the Out of Touch board are and will be responsible for the traumatic impact masking our kids 8 hours a day, 5 days a week will have on them for many years or lifetimes to come. Prosper ISD has played a huge part in this cancel culture. Prosper ISD has canceled smiles, canceled hugs, canceled laughter, canceled faces, canceled freedom, canceled oxygen, canceled immune systems, canceled mental health, canceled friendships, canceled empathy, canceled best learning practices, canceled emotion, canceled listening, canceled dialogue, canceled kindness, canceled love of learning, canceled fun, canceled peace, canceled joy, canceled opportunities. Prosper ISD did cancel a lot of really important things this year due to mandatory masking, but one thing they could not cancel is the virus. Our kids have suffered enough. We need leadership, true leadership, the kind that isn't weak, spineless, or panders. Texas doesn't have a teachers union, so why is Dr. Ferguson and the board facilitating the framework of one? We need leadership like that of Lance Johnson, Peaster ISD superintendent. And I want to quote him. He said, our kids have thrived and our teachers have thrived. And it's just real eye-opening to see how we've done things different than other schools. Our teachers and our school board and our community just stood in solidarity to say, you know what? We're going to do what is best for our kids. 18 months ago, I'm going to finish real quick. 18 months ago, what we're doing to kids would have been criminal. And here we are fighting, going back to the model, fighting letting kids be kids and letting kids socialize and letting them have normal school year.
Good evening. My name is Christy Engstrom. I live at 850 Twin Buttes. I'm going to read super fast because I have a lot to cover. I want to do just a general breakdown of why masks don't work. They provide a false sense of security and people misuse them, driving more potential for infection. The warm vapor of your breathing when wearing a mask, which I'm sure all of you are feeling right now, pushes vapor to your eyes, driving more likelihood of touching your eyes, which can spread contagion. Essential workers often wear them into the restroom, and then guess what? They touch their mask as they take your food, order, and deliver it to you. And guess what that is? Oral fecal contamination. No thanks. They interfere with respiratory function and your immune system's regulation as a bearer defense. You are not able to excel fully to expel any potential pathogen that you may have contracted. This can push viral load deeper into the pulmonary system. They can drive excessive epinephrine and cortisol as an anxiety and stress response, and this shallow, rapid breath mimics sympathetic nervous system response, which can drive stress chemical release. This individual may experience palpable anxiety and panic. Note, these compounds, when released in excess, hinder the function of your immune system. They create separation and they dehumanize us, especially in the constructs of education and connection with children who are very low risk for COVID mortality, but are vulnerable for fear, shame, depression, and mental health. CDC states ages 10 to 34, the number 2 cause of death is what? You want to guess? Suicide. How have our numbers increased since all of this mess started with the masks? For many children, the hugs and smiles and the connection that they get from their teachers, those might be the only ones that they get, because you don't know what kind of family lifestyle that they live behind closed doors. Furthermore, my personal children's grades have dropped since last year. They're getting sinus infections every 6 weeks, which puts them further behind and creates more stress for my kid that has ADD and anxiety. We're raising apathetic children hiding behind masks. You need to give us a choice. Let kids stay home and go virtual if there are deep-seated fears from the parents or the children. I hope these same parents don't say that's not fair to my kids because they don't learn well in a virtual setting, because my kids don't learn well behind masks. We're living in fear.
Thank you for that. I appreciate your comments. Thank you for taking the time to let us know how you feel. I'd like to call Nathan Pilkington. Pilkington or Pilkington? Pilkington.
Thank you for this opportunity. My address is a matter of public record. I'd like to talk about irrational fear this afternoon. What kind of parent would I be if I go into my child's room at night to put him to bed and he says, "Dad, I'm scared. There's monsters under the bed." And so I go ahead and I turn on the lights and I show him. I crawl on the ground with him and I show him, "Dude, there's no monsters under the bed." And he said, "Well, Dad, when you turn off the lights, the monsters are under the bed." So I get a flashlight and I turn off the lights and I crawl on the ground with him once more and shine the light under there. There's no monsters under the bed. He said, "Dad, the closet," you know. So we go through all these iterations of there's monsters. And we shine the light. We shine the light. There's no monsters under the bed. What kind of parent would I be if he said, "Dad, there's monsters under the bed"? And I look at him like, "Dude, there are some monsters under the bed and they're big. They got some claws and they got teeth and they're gonna get you as soon as I walk out of this room." That's not love. That's not what a parent does. You gotta love. You gotta put away the fear. So when are we going to turn on the light? When are we going to shine the light? And another thing I want to say is that my God did not design the human body to wear a mask, to keep respiratory waste in the body, just like digestive waste isn't meant to be kept in the body. So, as a religious freedom, I don't wear a mask. Thank you.
Looks like we have a combo of Leanne Edgar, RJ Rizika, and Lillian Rizika. That's right?
That's right.
You all speaking together, right?
If that's what we need to do.
Yeah, I would appreciate it.
Okay. You go first.
I'm RJ Erzika. I go to Rock Hill High School. I've been doing virtual classes since the beginning of 2020. I've made the decision for myself to be doing virtual classes because it's more important to myself to protect me from reusing the same oxygen over and over again all day that's stuck in that mask. To me, my health and not reusing oxygen all day long is important because it has been shown that microorganisms grow in your mask as you are wearing it throughout the day. Wearing a mask can also give rashes and irritate your face. Wearing a mask also gives you a feeling that you are alone and you are secluded and you're not with other people. You don't see them. Life at home doing school is difficult sometimes because when you're sitting in your room all day for days at a time, you start to not even want to try with your schoolwork anymore because, like, if you go downstairs and, like, with me, with my family being home, I'm not the kid that can concentrate with all that. So I get stuck in my room all day. I've spent almost half my high school time at home on the computer, staring at the computer for more than 8 hours a day, and that's just not right. Kids need to be kids, and it's all from a virus that has a 99.967% survival rate. And I'm not saying that getting rid of masks altogether, if that's not what y'all want to do, is right. It should be a choice, and we should get to choose what we want to do. And it's just a basic right, like it's your God-given right of freedom. People need to start standing up for what they believe in because no one else will do it for them, and it's just not right. Thank you.
I've been picturing my whole life what it would be like to graduate from elementary school and my first day into middle school, but none of that happened the way I imagined. I'm at home all the time during school for e-learning, and I feel very isolated. I really miss going to school and having community. I was devastated when I figured out that I still had to wear a mask at school. Kids can't act like kids at school anymore because of this mask mandate. I can't breathe wearing a mask, and school is the place where I most want to be able to breathe and see people, and people see me. We are American citizens, and we have the freedom to choose. You have the freedom to let every student use their freedom as an American citizen to wear one or not.
Are you good? You want to sit down? You're going to stand next to me? Okay. Sorry. All right. Pat Cochran, 741 Salt Lake Court. Mays, when you gave the invocation, you said, our country is great. I agree. Because we are a country of laws. Despite what people in D.C. may think, here in Prosper, Texas, we still are a community of laws. And a jurisdiction is defined as the limits or territory within which authority may be exercised. Jurisdiction is mentioned 195 times in Texas Education Code. And according to Prosper ISD governing documents 043912 BBE local, the board has final authority to determine and interpret the policies that govern the schools, and subject to mandates and limits imposed by state and federal authorities, has complete and full control of the district. This brings me to GA 34. GA 34 states in paragraph 1, in all counties not in a high area with high hospitalizations as defined below, to paraphrase section B, no person may be required by any jurisdiction to wear or to mandate the wearing of a face covering. The mask section of TEA SY 20-21, Public Health Guidance, provides the conflicting direction because guidance was based upon guidance from GA 29. Now that GA 29 has been overridden by GA 34, this district has questionable legal standing to mandate masks for students. And I would challenge your attorney to look at this, because GA 34 specifically says, in reference to itself, this executive order supersedes executive order GA 17, 25, 29, 31, and 32. The the Collin County Judge also rescinded the declaration for local disaster of public health emergency for Collin County on February 26, 2021. Therefore, there is no compelling government interest defense for the district to continue to defend medical masking. We've already heard about Texas Education Code 37.0023. I won't go over that again, but I will publicly challenge that any further masking in this district is unlawful and illegal since there is no legal authority to do so. I would encourage parents in this district to ignore further mask mandates, even if approved by the board. Any further push within this district will be filed to Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton.
My name is Emily Cochran, and my address is 741 Salt Lake Court as well. I'm the mother of a kindergartner at Rucker Elementary, but you already know this because I'm not a new face to you. I debated whether or not I would stand here and present evidence and science as we have before to help you see that what we're doing to our kids is unwarranted. However, you've made it exceptionally clear it wouldn't matter if I did. So instead, I'm going to tell you what a disappointment this year has been. See, I'm a new-to-school mom, and I had great expectations for what having a kid in school would be like, especially in a district whose anecdotal stories of community brought me from Plano to Prosper in 2019. I looked forward to dropping my baby off in his classroom on the first day of school, volunteering in my son's class, seeing him shine in a talent show, or even just the simple joy of coming to have lunch with him. And like many other parents, not only am I grieving the fact that these events didn't happen, but to add insult to injury, I get an update from a board member here, and I'm paraphrasing here. Don't worry, I've been to your schools and your kids are thriving. Thanks for the update, but your few moments of observation are absolutely not a replacement for the reality we are living. Even our prison system has resumed visitation, but I guess I can settle for a hollow observation. It's just as good. I watched a performance given by my nephew a week ago at his school. Yes, there are still schools all over Texas living life as normal, and I sobbed as they recited the preamble to the Constitution they'd memorized. The weight of my envy and grief combined with the precious text these kids were sharing was overwhelming. This district has shown that they care more about the fear of a few than the overall well-being of our children. My only glimmer has been the parents I've met that continue living life amidst this ridiculous excuse for a year. The kids you won't allow to play together on the playground that gather in their neighborhoods after school and at birthday parties on the weekend. So even though month after month we come, even though our words fall on obviously deaf ears, I will come and I will speak for parents like me so that I can tell my kids I did not quietly allow this. I will continue to speak against the irreparable damage you're causing. You speak about building relationships with parents for our kids. This is not the relationship I choose, but it's the relationship you've created. And so while it does nothing, I'll continue to say that this is not and will never be okay with me.
Thank you, Ms. Cochran. Tracy T. I want a last name for Tracy.
Hello.
Could you tell us your name?
My name is Tracy Thomas. I live in McKinney, Texas. I, of course, wrote about the Texas Education Code. But I'm going to go ahead and read it because I didn't hear anyone actually read it. It says anything that impairs the student's breathing, including any procedure that involves obstructing the student's airway, including placing an object in, on, or over the student's mouth or nose, or placing a bag, cover, or mask over the student's face, is considered an aversive technique by the Texas Education Agency. With that being said, I do respectfully believe that the matter of the mask should never have gone to the parents for a vote. And let me tell you why. This has never been an issue of voting. This is not a voting matter. You didn't vote, you didn't let us vote when you put the policy in place, so I'm not sure why you would have people vote now when you could simply revoke it. All you're doing by allowing the voting is allowing one group to dominate another, okay? And that's where freedom should come in. That is what freedom is for, to be able to make choices. In 2020, the National Institute of Health published information regarding the burdens of wearing a mask in schools, stating that covering the lower half of the face reduces the ability to communicate, interpret, and mimic the expressions of those with whom we interact, and that positive emotions become less recognizable, thus dehumanizing, and negative emotions are amplified. One of the most important things that teachers and students need is the ability to be able to communicate freely. Please don't allow it to be hindered any longer. The mandate has been removed. Let those who believe masks work, wear them. Let those who believe they don't. The more people that you see without masks on, perhaps the less people will be afraid. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Appreciate you taking the time to speak with us. Jada Crabtree. Did I say that name right? Yes. Jada?
My name is Jada Crabtree. I'm a freshman at Prosper High School. As everyone knows, Governor Greg Abbott lifted the mask mandate and opened up everything 100% in Texas, and he left it up to the businesses and schools to wear a mask or not. I understand that some people want to wear a mask to feel safe, but most people don't need to wear, and we don't want to wear it. It only makes sense to make it optional at school. I'm just annoyed at the fact that we don't have a choice to wear them or not. There are conflicting reports on how effective masks actually are, and most studies show very little effectiveness. Their conclusions recommending masks are based on very small amount of data and are only repeating public opinion instead of actual medical conclusions. What is becoming very obvious with more studies showing a real effect is the harm that continued enforcement of masks and lockdowns have on students physically and mentally. When I wear a mask, it's difficult for me to breathe. Every day I walk up and down the stairs in school and I get insanely hot and I cannot breathe. When I'm speaking to people, it's hard for me to understand and to be understood. The masks make it sound like they're mumbling and we can't watch their lips to understand what they're saying. See, I'm dyslexic and it's very important for me to listen and understand what my teachers are saying. It's hard enough for me to listen without a mask, even worse with them. When the mandate was lifted, I was hoping the district would do the same thing. I know that some people still want to wear their mask, and that's fine. Let them wear it. But those who don't need to wear them, let them choose not to. I'm healthy, I have no symptoms, and I'm not spreading COVID. If I was sick or in contact with someone who was, I would wear a mask or simply just stay home. This is common sense, but I'm not sick, I'm healthy. To be forced, to force me or any healthy other student to wear a mask makes no sense. Thank you.
Thank you, Jada. I appreciate your comments. Two more. We have Miss Courtney Reed.
Hi, my name is Courtney Reed, and I'm a freshman at Prosper High School. So first off, I want to say thank you. When the shutdowns happened, you still let us be educated through online learning. You create amazing programs and grow kids into amazing students and people. I know many friends that live in other states such as California, Washington, and Kansas that haven't been able to attend school, so I thank you for letting me do that. You did the right thing at the beginning by following the mask mandate and social distancing rules placed in by the Texas government. You had the right idea in mind, but it's over now. I look around this room, and if anyone here went to my school, over half of them would be suspended for not wearing masks. My first year of high school had no football games. I couldn't go because there were limited seats. There was no homecoming, no parade, social distance pep rallies, and my friends had been sent home, leaving me all alone. I do not think you understand what your students are dealing with regarding these masks. We have listened, and those who didn't were disciplined. But it is hard for us to continue to follow these rules with no end in sight and no need for them anymore. We need to move on. Governor Abbott has lifted the social distancing and mask mandates for Texas. You are a public school, and my parents pay taxes, and there is no reason for you to force us to wear masks. I know the school board runs everything separate from the state government, but this is now beyond crazy. All we want is for masks to be optional. We are forced to wear them, and if you do, that way we aren't forced to wear them, and if you don't want to wear them, you can just stay home. Or if you want to wear them, you can just stay home. It is wrong to force us to wear face masks. You stood there and all this time said, we will make it through together as long as we follow your rules. So now I'm standing here speaking for my fellow students who say, stop the masks. I wish you would let us have a normal school year. Don't make our high school experience be ruined by a piece of cloth and 2 strings. Thank you.
Thank you, Courtney. Thank you, Courtney. Our last speaker, I don't know how to say this name. A-A-D-I, Addie? Adi.
Hello everyone. I go to Winsong Element. Hold on. Hello everyone. My name is Adi, and I go to Winsong Grange Elementary, and I love it. When I spoke here last time, I said that I didn't like the new rule of everyone must wearing masks, and I still believe in that. When the governor of the state said masks were no longer required, my family was so happy. We were hoping that I would finally get to see my teacher's face, what my best friend's face looks like. Although I was super excited to go back to school after spring break, it was a sad day. Recess wasn't any different. I want to ask you if masks will be worn forever. That does not sound really healthy to me, and it is not a good decision because I will never wear one.
Thank you, Addie. Great. Thank you all for your public comment. I appreciate it. We're always grateful to hear from people, and opinions are valued, so thank you for taking the time to come up and speak to us. Now it's time for us to move into, well, before we do that, should we do this? Okay, I'll let you do that. Yeah, I'll let you do that.
Also, just thank you so much for your dedication and all that you've done for Prosper ISD over your time here.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Great, thank you. Congratulations.
Next we have Chief Blassingame. Chief with us. We would like to honor with our members and Mr. Harlan Jefferson, our town manager.
Hey, Harlan. How are you?
It's fine. Good evening. Good evening. How are you guys doing?
Good to see you.
Well, officially, my name is Harlan Jefferson. I serve as town manager here in Prosper. Address is 250 West 1st Street, Prosper, Texas. I'm here for two reasons. First, I want to set the stage for Chief Kowalski and Chief Blaskingame's comments. Ever since the winter storm we had in February, every time I thanked our staff, showed my appreciation for the job they did, helping our citizens through such a challenging time, one, or if not both, of the chiefs would interject that your staff was instrumental in keeping their fleet on their street. And after about the third or fourth time, we started questioning, well, how do we show our appreciation for this? And we concluded a thank you note just wasn't sufficient. We thought it would be better to do it in person. The second reason I'm here is really to thank you guys for the many years, well over 10 years, you allowed us to use your fueling facility. If I was to say we're deeply in your debt, that would be an understatement. So as we began to consolidate our facilities south of Prestonwood Baptist Church, we currently have a police station that opened in 2020. We plan to open a fire station in 2023, the public works facilities down there, as well as park maintenance. We decided it's better for us to start planning for our own fueling facility in that general area so it would be more efficient. We hope to have it open in 2023 with the timing of the fire station. I just want to mention, though, if there's any opportunity for us to partner with you in that area where we build our facilities, we would love to explore those. You guys have been a great partner to us. We love to continue to partner with you in the future. We know there are going to be great opportunities for the benefit of all of our citizens. So thank you guys very much. I'll turn it over to the Chief Kowalski and bless.
Thank you, Har.
Howdy, my name is Doug Kowalski. I am your Chief of Police. And, I'm honored to be here today. As many of you all may know, we had a little winter storm here a couple of weeks ago, and I've lived in Texas 40 some odd years, and that's the worst one I've experienced. I'm from up in the Northeast from New York City, and I got here as quick as I could, folks, but it looks like I didn't completely get away from the weather, but it was really a bad storm. And those of us in public safety, you know, we always have contingency plans. We always try to plan ahead. We had a plan A. Plan A is use the gas pumps over here right next door immediately to our north. Plan B was all of our equipment is issued credit cards. We can go to the local filling stations and we can gas up. And then we soon realized that due to the depth of the storm and the inability to deliver gasoline to the facilities and to the gas stations, we were between a rock and a hard place. It looked like we were going to be unable to achieve our mission, which is to serve all the citizens of this great community. And we were rapidly trying to put together a plan C when y'all stepped up to the plate. And I'll let the fire chief go into all the details, but before I sit down, I want y'all to know this. We have a great relationship with your school district police, Chief Vessels, Jody Wolverton. We've had that for years. It's magnificent. It's a great relationship, and we are proud to work with them and stand side by side with them and serve the citizens and the children of this community. And furthermore, before I turn it over to the chief, I'm on a county board myself. I want to thank you for your time and effort. I know there's many of you on your own personal time here, and that's all it is, and you're trying to make this a better community too. And I want to thank you for your service.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Stuart Blassingame, 800 Robeson Creek. I am your fire chief. Sorry. I guess a couple of weeks ago, we wanted to come and show our appreciation. First, I will tell you as a, not only your fire chief, but as a resident here, I had a child graduate last year. And it was not the graduation maybe that I anticipated at the beginning of that year. And I have a freshman that is at Prosper High School today. But I will tell you, through working with all of you and working with your staff and Superintendent Holly Ferguson and Dr. Bradley, I have to say I was probably most proud that when my son graduated last year, he didn't feel jaded. Even though I did at some point, you know, I kind of felt like it wasn't the same thing, but I've never seen a district that bent over backwards for the kids like you did. And I realized that some things aren't, it's hard in what you do, and I know most of you up there, you're all volunteers. I appreciate what you do. My children love it here. I'm a very proud parent of Prosper ISD. I too am looking forward to things getting back to normal, but I appreciate what you do and the very difficult decisions that you have to make. That being said, talk about a perfect storm. And I say that never did we anticipate that we've had everything from, we had different people we could call if we ran out of fuel. And we've had, you know, our emergency management coordinator works very hard with myself to try to make sure that we dot our I's and cross our T's and we know which way to turn when things get bad, that we can serve our amazing community that we have here. Well, nobody ever told us that all of a sudden we were going to lose power at half the gas stations and fuel at half the gas, and that there wouldn't be enough pressure to pump gas. And we were doing okay, but we were very careful. But I can tell you in a 4-day span, we ran more calls on the fire side than we do in our busiest month that we've ever had, and that was in 4 days. I was getting a little bit nervous, especially when I found out Unleaded was out here at the local fueling station next door, and we had a little bit of diesel, which we were going to make do with whatever we had to do. And that's when some of the text messages and friendships and relationships came into play. And I can't tell you how proud I am of those. Everything, as Chief Kowalski said, and our town manager, Harlan Jefferson, said, we have an outstanding relationship with Prosper ISD and their staff. And I was all of a sudden notified, hey, we know there's problems. Or, hey, are you going to get some more fuel? Well, we're out there. Let me check Rock Hill. And all of a sudden, this is my favorite text that I got back. And at first, there was at least 5 on the text message, and I don't know who the other 2 was. And I wish I would have found out. But Anna Hamrick was amazing. Curtis McDonald, who I did not see here today, but was outstanding, and Danny Roberts. We were all on a text message back and forth, and I wanted to read you this quick text message that's my favorite. We had several, but this was my favorite. We have 18, and I know this is not what was meant. I hope this is not what was meant. We have 1,800 gallons of unleaded and 2,200 gallons of diesel available at the Rock Hill location. The front east side gate is in the open position to eliminate any possible tag reader issues. Fuel the same as Site 1 when operating Fuel Master. We were good up to that point. Hopefully this will get all first responders a sigh of relief. We want to limit dying to first responders and crucial PISD maintenance and operation vehicles. Please let me know of any issues. So I did respond back, and I said, I hope you meant fueling and not dying. I laughed, he laughed, everybody else laughed, Siri laughed, Alexa laughed. We all had a good time on it. He sent back, good grief, yes, sir. Love you, man. I'll be at your funeral. So, but I say that joking, and I hope this brought a little bit lighter side to this evening, and I know it's an important night, but I want to tell you, we anticipate a lot of things in our careers, and we try to be prepared to serve our amazing residents no matter what happens. And we ran into some roadblocks that week, things we had never seen. You know, we could say, hey, we're going to send people here if the electricity goes out because we got gas. Hey, we can send them over here if we got, you know, vice versa. Well, then we lost both in several places. School district had warming sites picked out with us. We talked to them in advance, and they were kind of our third and fourth, but we had a plan to make sure that everybody was safe that week. Couldn't have done it without y'all. Appreciate that relationship. Appreciate being able to pick up the phone and text some of you at almost midnight sometimes, and still be able to get things done here. I thank you very much from the bottom of our heart. We appreciate the relationship very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you very much. Yep. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, guys.
And Ms. Hamrick?
Okay, on to the consent agenda. Did you have something?
Just wanted to make sure we publicly thank Ms. Hamrick because she does an amazing job down there. So.
Thank you. All right, moving through the consent agenda. The first thing is approving the minutes from the prior meeting, which I was not at.
Yes. Recommend.
So do we have a motion to do so?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Deborah. We have a second? All in favor? I will sit out because I wasn't there. Okay, good. Well, actually, I'm sorry. That was wrong. We'll do the voting when the consent agenda is done. I apologize. I missed last month. I'm out of practice. March enrollment.
Our enrollment, we're at 19,613 students, and also included in your packet, I also provided to you demographer information that gave you a breakdown of the 10-year forecast of what would be coming our way, not only as a district, but also from elementary perspective and also for our secondary schools, which only paints a picture of the great need that we have for facilities moving forward to educate our students. And then I wanted to show you a little bit of a glimpse of, this is our new elementary school, number 15. We are looking at number 15 being located in the Star Trail subdivision. That's a very fast growth area, and our demographer is showing us how quickly that is moving along. So we wanted to show you a mock-up of what that facility would look like moving forward. And obviously Huckabee has put these renderings together and done a fabulous job. And then we have our update from Mike and Janie Reeves. So we are almost to the point of getting a roof on top of it. I drove by over the break, and so we are getting closer, and we know as soon as we can get that rooftop on, we can start moving a lot faster, because then we're not fighting the weather. So just a few pictures needing a roof. Any questions about Mike and Janie Reeves?
Anybody? Nope.
And then Mrs. Jerry Bryant, obviously these photos were taken during the snowstorm, obviously. There's a lot of white. So it is on track, and actually this one's moving along extremely well. Obviously we were already moving on this before we made the decision to open Reeves or begin the building of it. But it has landscaping, the exterior, brick and rock. It's beautiful, and the Bryant family, actually, Paul Bryant texted and said he had gone by and just how very proud they were of the facility and can't wait to get it opened and see kids in it. Yeah. You'll see that it's very familiar to you as far as design. Winsong Elementary has this look as well. That is a purple. It is pretty. Any questions about Bryant Elementary?
Anybody? Okay, before we vote on the consent agenda, I would like to move that we pull 5D out of the consent agenda and a motion for that.
I'll make a motion
Okay.
to pull 5D.
Thank you, Deborah. Second.
Second.
Mays, all in favor? Okay, now we can vote on the consent agenda when I got ahead of myself earlier. So that is the minutes of the prior meeting, March enrollment, and the construction update. We need a motion for that?
I'll make a motion. Or Kelly got it. I'll
Kelly,
second.
all right. Kelly, then Mr. Beavers. All in favor? Great, okay. Discussion regarding Governor Abbott's announcement on March 2nd. So obviously we've spent a lot of time and energy going over this, as you can all imagine. The TEA shared on March 4th that the guidance remained the same for the school districts. That was the guidance they provided around wearing masks and people under 10 years of age being exempted, people with medical conditions being exempted. But the change, of course, was the governor coming along and lifting the mask mandate, and then the TEA gave the governing board of a school system the opportunity to modify or eliminate by formal action the above mask-related requirements. Still asking that close contact and contact tracing is in place, and we are all aware of the one thing that can help us in the face covering the school setting. So we spent a lot of time talking. I've been back and forth with Holly quite a bit, and for me personally, this has boiled down to obviously for our kids, our students. We've heard that, their concerns. We've heard the concerns of some parents. Educators were not placed on that priority list when the government made that announcement. We have now since thankfully been able to offer more than 400 vaccines to our employees, but we have more than 2,300 employees. So some of the staff have obviously obtained vaccines elsewhere, but we know everybody has not yet had an opportunity to be vaccinated. Everybody that wants to be vaccinated has not yet had that opportunity. We're also worried about changing the method of instruction for students. Once again, we would juggle students and teachers. We've learned that obviously that's been very disruptive every time we've had to do that, here even in these last 9 weeks. We really wanted to be sensitive to our staff and to make sure that we're not putting additional stresses on them. While kids may not be as vulnerable, we know that the staff may not all share in that, and we're concerned about their exposure. They don't have the option to, all of them have the option to teach virtually. They've got to be in the classroom. And I think the last two things that we talked about, Holly and I, were really important to me, trying to protect events that vanished last year. We really want to protect prom, scholarship nights, our award banquets, end-of-year parties, playoffs, and state tournaments. And most of all, we really want to have graduation. And we'd love to have graduation outside in our stadium and have that graduation be unmasked. So as we've talked about that, we've talked about the implications of that. Unmasked would be a change for us if we were able to allow the kids to do so in an outdoor setting. And so I would like to move that the board modify the district's current COVID-19 protocols to make face coverings optional in all open air spaces on district property. Just to be clear, we keep the mask mandate in place, but if you're outside in an open air area, whether it's a sporting event, bus line, whatever that would be, you could not have to wear your mask. And I will make the unusual move of making that motion myself.
And we will still encourage the social distancing while outdoors.
Yeah, let me get a second and then we'll go to discussion.
You want to get a second first? Yep. I'll second it.
Mays is going to second. Okay. So let's go into discussion. I'm sorry, ask your question.
Well, just in reference to the unmasked students, teachers, whoever, outdoors, we're still going to maintain the distancing. Is that correct? As much as possible?
As much as you can.
Yeah,
I
as
was
much as
at a
possible.
baseball game the other night and obviously enjoying that outing, and people were unmasked, but we had a great crowd that showed up to watch our kids, which is what we want.
Right.
So I wouldn't say that they were 6 feet apart, but again, we're not going to sit and police that
Right.
situation.
And are teachers given the opportunity to take class outside?
Yes.
If they so choose.
And the weather right now is playing in our
Pretty
favor.
conducive to that, that's right.
I have some thoughts on it, but first, before we do that, Dr. Ferguson, I think that you have done an absolutely outstanding job.
Amen.
And anything contrary to that
Amen and amen.
So thank you for everything that you've done.
Well
Back
said.
to the mask issue, just so y'all know, there's a very nice lady who pointed out that yes, I did visit some campuses here, and what I saw is appreciate very much what the students had to say tonight, and thank you all very much. That was taken to heart. I also saw great things going on at our campuses, the students in masks. They were learning, they were interacting with each other. They weren't just there milling about, they were thriving. And so I am thrilled that we do have school open in person right now. And I think great things are going on in our school. Which brings us to the next point, is the teachers that you pointed out. And we do have a duty to look out for those teachers. You know, Prosper ISD, 7 years in a row, is one of the top places to work in the Metroplex, if I'm not mistaken. We do want to take care of our teachers, and y'all are sitting out there and know that we do very much care for y'all. Contrary to what you've heard on some things tonight, I want you to know that I very much care for what y'all are doing, and thank y'all for that. So, the teachers, we are looking out for them. I know that they are getting the vaccines. Those are coming in more and more every day. They are more and more available. So I think that we are on the right track. The people that I did talk to at multiple campuses asked us to keep the mask mandate in place just for normalcy for the students. It's not that all of them absolutely loved it, but they thought that it would be a tough situation switching horses midstream on this. And here we are in the fourth quarter. I hope personally, it's for us to discuss. I hope, you know, worst case scenario, we're looking at about 9 more weeks of this, but I hope that we are getting to a point where we are looking at next year of opening up mask optional.
Great, thank you, Bill. Any other comments or questions for us during our discussion time?
As we move past spring break and continue to evaluate the data, will we continue to receive those numbers so we can look at a phase 1, whether that's this year or phase 2, moving forward?
Absolutely. Just like what I've provided to you each week is COVID dashboard numbers, as well as what Chief Blassingame is providing to us from both Denton County and Collin County health agencies, and then Nurse Gazzy and I are in constant communication, as well as our number one advisor as far as all things health when it comes to Prosper ISD. But certainly we will continue to look at that. We will continue to evaluate. I don't think that there's anyone that's sitting up here who said, hey, this would be a great thing, right? But no one asked for a pandemic. So.
Yes. Okay. Other thoughts? Good. Our hope is that we can make it through this 9 weeks, and we'll have very different conversations as we move toward the start of next school year. Okay, we have a motion. We have second. We've had discussion. We need a vote. All in favor? Okay. Ayes have it. Okay. 6A, I'll let you take over, Holly.
So we have a consideration and possible approval on benchmark education, and that's for our pre-K adoption. We need curriculum supplies. This is more of a curriculum that's going to address all areas: math, reading, science, social studies, and really that whole child component. And what we're looking at is we want more theme-based and play-based activities for our pre-K students and early learners. I don't know if Ms. Gassman is here. I think she was leading all of that, but I know also Ms. Scoggin was, I believe, included on the committee. Is there anything I'm missing, Ms. Scoggin, that you all discussed with your pre-K students? Or I guess I could, Ms. Smith also. No? Okay.
Any questions for the board? I know we've all had a chance to look at these materials in our board packet. Any comments or questions? Okay, this is an item requiring a motion. Would you like to make that motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Bill. Any second? Thank you, Jan. All in favor? Great.
Okay. And then we wanted to bring to the consideration and possible approval of Creative Energies to be selected, looking at specifically our equity and inclusion work. This would be funded through grant funds. And what we like about Creative Energies, because we looked at several different companies, and I'll scroll up and show you because they submitted their RFPs for us to review. Many of these were very one-sided and not really looking at all of the different aspects of equity and inclusion. And so what we liked about Creative Energies is, number one, it was aligned to our PISD strategic plan. It very nicely complemented philosophically where we are and what we believe, but also this is a very targeted and specific approach. So each campus will actually get coaching, and they're going to start with our campus administrators. So if it's Light Farms Elementary, then Ms. Stelly and Ms. Romero get to talk about the specific concerns they have, the things that need to be addressed on their campus, rather than them all sitting in the same room together and really being able to be a little more vulnerable with that coaching and support on how do we best address this, or how do we need to look differently at our discipline decisions or our discipline data. Ms. Biggs and Dr. Hickey, as well as Ms. Fulmer and Ms. Lewis, we've all been working pretty intensely on this, trying to make sure that we were making steps in the right direction and that it was really going to be an approach that would support all learners in Prosper ISD, as well as all of our teacher learners, because we're all on a journey and this is work that will never be complete.
Got it. Any questions or comments on this action item?
Quick question.
Yes,
Why
sir.
such the large delta in the highest bid and lowest bid? Was it, did they just miss something completely in there? Or, because that's pretty unusual to see something that far off.
Ms. Lewis, I'm going to have her speak to that because she was running the numbers.
Well, or Ms. Fulmer. Good evening. I'm sorry, repeat the question.
I was asking why such the big difference between the 27,000 and the 432,000? Was there just a complete section that they missed or something?
No, it really wasn't done by section. It was more just, this is what we're asking for in a general sense for, to meet our needs here. I think on this one here, for the most part, they just didn't have the capability to give us everything that we were looking for that was needed.
Thank you.
You know, my only comment would be to get assurance that there is somebody at a very high level that is looking at every single piece of material that's presented or gone over. I don't want a Coke situation where Facebook is lit up because of a screenshot of some materials that maybe don't align with what we think they should. So
the great thing is this is Dr. McLeod's group, and we've been working with her for several years now, and then looking at how do we kind of go to the next level. So that's one of the huge wins with Creative Energy as well, is because it is a trusted partner that we've been working with. She has a high level of respect from our administrators, and they feel comfortable opening up to her, which that is the first step in the right direction when you start talking about equity inclusion, is really being able to own where your own bias may be, and then what do we need to do about that. And she has a very delicate approach in the way that she does that. It's not a demeaning or coming down on people, but more about, let's talk a little bit more about that and why that might be offensive or that might not give a child the best opportunity. And so that was another huge win because of the relationship that we already had with her. But now being able to take it more to a specific level to the campus. I know several of the administrators, when I emailed, because Dr. McLeod's ready to go as soon as this gets approved, and so I gave them a heads up that pending approval, she'll be reaching out probably tomorrow because she's ready to get this work started. And several of the administrators emailed back yes with an exclamation, because they're hungry to improve and get better for our kids.
Okay.
Great question.
I always think there's room for improvement and where we need to be, but just the approach that they take. I don't want
Completely agree with you. And the great thing is too is that Dr. Hickey and myself, we have a very strong relationship with Dr. McLeod, and I feel very comfortable if things are not going in the direction that they need to be going for Prosper ISD, that she will be receptive to that conversation.
That's great. Any other comments or questions? Okay, it's a line item that requires a motion. Thank you, Deborah Smith. Second. Thank you, Jana. All in favor? All right, you can send your email.
Okay. So Ms. Fulmer with our financial investment reports.
Good evening. Thank you very much. We're looking at the financial reports and investment reports fiscal year through February 28th. And one note as we go through these, I realized that some of our comparisons to March of last year are going to start looking very different because as of now, it's been like to like as far as year goes. And so I'm very interested to see what it looks like going forward. If we look at the investment portfolio, total investments for all funds put together, bond funds, activity, construction, general operating, interest and sinking, which is our debt service, and our workers' compensation, it is $277 million compared to $308 million through February, same time last year. So 10% decrease in funds. Of course, those are the construction funds. General operating, $176 million, represents 63.5% of the overall portfolio. If we look at our benchmark performance through February 28th, our weighted average yield for the entire portfolio is a little bit down again, 0.07%. I really had some hope last time that it was going to stabilize. That has not happened as of yet. But we were looking at elementary 15 this evening, so these rates are good for debt issuance. So there is some good news on the horizon.
It's on the bright side.
There's a bright side. And again, this pie chart here shows you all the financial institutions that the district invests its funds in. The Texas term fixed at $11 million. We have two fixed securities now in that, just trying to lock in a little bit of yield, but they're all under 1 year, under 12 months. We look at our comparison by funds. The general fund only, we have $176 million compared to $166 prior year. So the ones we looked at before were all funds. This is just the general fund. And this shows the general fund only compared to prior year on the slides. If we look at, we're going to jump into revenues now and leave the investment report. The general fund is $147 million received to date in revenue, which is an 8.1% increase. That's trending as we would expect for our increase in our student enrollment. Another look at revenue by source for general operating, budgeted $178 million, collected year to date 147.5, and then so percent completed is 82.8%, which is a little bit behind the same time prior year. This is our tax collection chart, and as we go forward, we see that the line is really laid on top of the prior year. Tax rate compression did exactly what it was designed to do, which was normalize those tax collections for property tax increases. Current month at 16.1 million, and the original levy percent for current year is 87.19% on the box compared to 88% same time last year. So we're a little bit behind in the percent collections year to date. If we look at ag rollback, the large jump in the orange, that was prior year. Current year is in yellow, and so we have a very modest ag rollback collection this year is $587,000 year to date. That's since September 1st. So looking at expenditures by major object, this is the general fund. We have $98 million expended year to date, and that's a 20% increase over prior year. And of course, the largest percent of the general fund is going to be the payroll, the object 6,100. And you can see these on the pie charts as well. Percent complete year to date, 51.3% of overall expenditures, which is slightly behind prior year. When it comes to expenditures, I don't mind that we're behind the prior year in these things. This one really was where I was thinking the comparisons are going to look different when we start March. Looking at the athletics fund, our cash flow through the year is $154,000. Modest cash flow, it is in the positive and slightly behind prior year. Child nutrition, food service, we have a positive cash flow, $131,000 year to date. And again, that's very good news. And debt service fund, we have $18.7 so far in net cash flow. Prior month, it was 48. And so we had our debt service payments middle of February. And so those went off. Our next debt service payments are going to be August 15th. So we pay those twice a year. Reeves Elementary School, number 13. And I was very excited to see the progress in these. You can see this, of course, in the financials for the POG-only contract, $13.4 million expended year to date. Total expenses of the construction contract so far, 54% have been expended. And if we look at Bryant, you can see how far ahead it is, especially when it comes to the financials, because this is the last thing that happens. You know, the field work starts first, and this trails behind. 81.7% of expenditures year to date. And that concludes the presentation. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Ms. Fulmer. Are you hearing anything from, I know I was on a call today, but are there speculations about the legislature and our general fund and all that sort of thing? What are you hearing?
You know, the thing that I'm most concerned about right now is that I'm not hearing a lot. Okay. And that makes me more nervous at this time of year. The bill filing, the deadline to file bills, I think is Wednesday. And so there's a lot of bills filed. I was going through them, most current to the ones that were filed before. And I know that if some of them haven't made committee, you know, that kind of is a telltale sign that they're filed, but they may not go through. And so I think really trying to think back to when House Bill 3 took place, April was really when we started to hear a lot of stuff, and you had runs and you had things, hey, this might affect you. There's just so many bills filed right now. I read one that significantly changed M&O taxation for operations, pushing that to sales tax and those kinds of things. And so if they were going to work on models like that, it would significantly impact our outlook, and there would be a lot of work to be done.
I do think Dan Huberty also was pushing for us to go from the 217 to the 110, which would impact the general fund. I did read that, so I know that that is a conversation that is out there as far as what would happen with general fund and how they would go about trying to pull those funds in to help with that debt.
One of the things too that I'm looking at as well is our property values, you know, after the winter storm. Mm-hmm. So we really know that there might be some electric utilities. We've received information that electric cooperative that's in our district has a lot of property throughout the state, but they are in bankruptcy proceedings. Oh, right. So we're trying to figure out how does that look? What does that mean for Prosper ISD? What's the order, the hierarchy, and those kinds of things? Is it procedural only? Did they need to file this in order for some protection, but that it will have no effect? So these are things that I think we're just going to start seeing as this session goes on as well.
Good, thank you. Any other questions, Ms. Fulmer? Great. We do need a motion to approve the financial investment report for February 2021 and the tax report for January 2021.
So moved.
May 2nd?
I'll second.
Thank you, Kelly. All in favor? Great. Fabulous. And
no budget amendments this month. That's always a standing agenda item. And then we need the consideration for our existing networks. We're at that point in time where our buildings are in need of refresh. So Mr. Dave Velasco and his team can get out and get us up to speed and put the best technology available in the hands of our students, because as we know, technology does not last forever. So this agenda item is for a refresh for Reynolds Middle School. And you can see for the network electronics, Category 1 and Category 2 that he's given us. And there he emerges. I knew he would be coming.
Back in 2016, we started retrofitting the existing schools, the 12 of them, and that was 2016. This is the first one of the other 11 that we need to go. So we're going to start with Reynolds to align with other projects we have in mind, but this will be the first one of a series to come next year and the year after, so we can complete those 12 schools. So.
One key point to note on this one also is that we will apply for E-rate funding, so that will be helpful for the price tag.
Great. Okay, thank you, sir. Any questions before we make a motion to, somebody make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Deborah. Second? Oh, thank you. Thank you. Got a second down there from Dina. All in favor? Great. Thank you, sir.
So here's our Chromebooks for the 2021-2022 school year. So he is asking for 1,000 Chromebooks, just 1,000.
Surprised there's not more. They got to go through a lot of
He and his team did a great job of making sure that we had inventory. That was one of the huge saving graces that we had when the pandemic first hit, because the first question was, will we have enough devices for every student, and then trying to get them, because every district was trying to get their hands on them. And of course, as always, Mr. Dave Velasco comes in with the magic answer, don't worry, Prosper ISD is in good shape.
Yes, we are. So the main item here is we have the units, but right now the units are with the students, right? That's where they need to be.
The students. Yeah.
So in the summer, we need to recoup all the units from the seniors. But by the time we get them back, we condition them, clean them, disinfect everything. It's a matter of timing. The time for me to get them back ready for August 1st or August the 12th, right? And distribute them again. There is also that time with the vendor whether I can get units in time. So this is to give me the opportunity that if and when I need to pull the trigger on additional units to, hey, while I'm trying to get those in to distribute them again, I can have some other units out. That's kind of the revolving door effect that we need. So this is a buffer of units that if we need to pull the trigger to go and execute at the given time.
What's the lifespan of that thing? It can't be much more than a year or two, is it? The life expectancy
of a Chromebook?
When they were on a card, they used to last 4 years without a problem. And the interesting thing is that the break-fix ratio, it used to be higher, like way higher. We have noticed that with the one-to-one initiative, the students are taking ownership. This is my device. And the break-fix ratio has dropped considerably. Before we will go into a room with a cart and maybe 12 Chromebooks will have been rekey to different languages, peel off the keypad. I mean, it was just crazy, right? Now, because it's my unit, and if it breaks, I need to go and present my case, all of a sudden that has dropped a lot. So we are getting there now. It's on the rooftop of the car takes off, the Chromebook goes behind. So we have to balance a few things. So that's where we are with Chromebooks.
Good answer. Okay, that is an action item, consideration of and a possible approval on the purchase of additional Chromebooks for the 2021-2022 school year. Take a motion for that.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Bill. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Jana. All in favor? Okay. So we got one more technology item.
For Prosper High School.
I will expect the Prosper High School team to come with a banner here, but Prosper High School is the last school we have left to retrofit and make them mobile. Over the last several years, we make the effort to retrofit from desktops in the classrooms into laptops to give teachers mobility, the ability to go anywhere, anytime, and just do whatever they need to do, right? The beauty of this time, or the timing of this, is that in addition to the teachers, we're going to retrofit the computer labs and everything. So by August, pretty much PHS will have all new equipment for teachers and students. This is what will be the cost to do that.
And how old is the technology we're replacing?
We should have done it last summer, but with COVID and everything that hit us, and because PHS is going to take us probably a good month to retrofit it all, if not more, we couldn't get in time to get everything out, the new schools, everybody, and in good conscience get PHS out of the door in August. So we decided to just hit with what we have and go from there, and then get everything at the same time.
And then there were people like me saying, I need 16,000 Chromebooks to go home with children, and kind of slowed down your work.
A few variables here and there.
That'll happen, apparently. Okay, that is another item that needs, any more questions on that before we call for a motion? Okay, need a motion for, thank you, Mays, second. Thank you, Deborah, all in favor? Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, and here comes Dr. Bradley.
Dr.
He's going to be talking about some landscaping and grounds maintenance.
Landscaping, yes. You see a bid. We did get have good participation with the bid, but I did want to point out that we have been with VA Landscape and Lawn for the last year, I think a couple of years actually, and there's not been an issue there. They've done a good job. But obviously we're growing, and every year adds more campuses and more grounds to take care of, and it was time for us to go back and bid, and so you see the numbers, they came in where they were, and the low bid there was substantially low in research from the purchasing department, and Mr. Roberts, we felt we couldn't in good conscience recommend that bid, but the next one, American Landscape, checked out. We've had some experience with them on some of our new campuses on the install, and so we feel that they would be an appropriate vendor for us, and so that's why the recommendation is what it is tonight. Again, I just wanted you to know because it is a change from VNA, and they have done a good job for us, but there was a substantial difference here in pricing, and like I say, we have experience with American Landscape, and so we think that they will be a good partner for us. And the other thing I wanted to mention is we, just like everyone in the winter storm, lost some plants, and we're having to wait. I just wanted you to know it's frustrating to me, right? A lot of stuff is brown that's normally greening up at this time, but it's going to take us a season to see what survived and what didn't, so a lot of our trees and a lot of our larger bushes, we're not going to go replace those right now, because some of them, are going to come back. And so we need to give some time for that to happen. But that means we may have our answer in July, but that we're not going to go plant new stuff in July, probably, because of the amount of water we would have to put on it in the heat of the summer. And so I'm hopeful that most of our shrubbery and all that is going to come back, but we know that we probably lost some. And so we'll have to adjust for that when we can. That's normally just money that we pay over and above the contracted price based on agreed upon labor and so forth. That's a part of the contract. So recommend to you tonight the American Landscape Systems for that.
And if we're not happy halfway through the year, we have the ability to change?
We would have the ability to change. That's one of the nice things about being in the school system. We kind of have the trump card on all of this. We do have the ability, and our contracts are written that way. I would say it would not be without pain, probably, to get someone to mobilize. Part of the issue that we run into every year, I have people reach out to me. I'm sure Danny has a ton, but I have people reach out to me asking if they can participate in this bid, and then when they see the scope of it, they're out. It's like, oh, I wasn't thinking about 21 different campuses and just the sheer amount of volume of work that would have. Our company's not quite equipped to do that. So we have a ton of local landscaping companies, and I've had at least 3 conversations this year. Hey, I'm interested. And then when we kind of talk about the scope, we go, probably not. And so there's not we are limited sometimes on the amount of people that have the ability to cover what we need.
Great.
Dr. Bradley, do you think in the future that we might be looking at maybe 2 landscaping companies just because of the magnitude of the work as we continue to grow?
It's certainly possible. We've had the discussion before. This is one of those contracted services that, all things equal, I would love for it to be in-house. I would love for it to be our team, doing this. But the amount of cost of just the amount of mowers we would have to buy, the number of employees that we would have to onboard to do that, and sometimes the fickle nature of the labor in this business again provides challenges in that. But I do see a scenario in which you know, we may have to divide up and do that and say, hey, we're going to take the east side or the west side or the north side and the south side and go at it. And that may be what we do the next time if we're not pleased here.
And just so you're aware, we do have an employee who goes out and fixes irrigation. This is one of his specialties. So at least when we're in a pinch, he can get out there and really oversee those things. And so that's helpful to have someone in-house at least to help support.
Great. Good. Other questions for Dr. Bradley? All right, I'd like a motion then for item 7F, approval of the landscaping and grounds maintenance. Thank you, Jana. Got a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Kelly. All in favor? All right.
And that will take
Very
us
good.
to executive session.
Well, let's get a motion for that.
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Beaver. Second. All right, second, Deborah. All in favor? Okay, we will go to executive session. We will do executive session things, and then we will come back and tell you all about them. If you want to stick around, you're welcome to. Otherwise, y'all have a great evening. back from executive session. It is 9:21. 9:21, let the record show. Okay, we need a motion for, to accept the resignations on the March board agenda.
I'll make a motion.
Oh, Kelly went first. Deborah second. All in favor? Great. Then we have 4 hires to approve. Need a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Thank you, Janice. Second. Thank you, Bill. All in favor? And we need a motion to dismiss the meeting. Mays. Second, Bill. All in favor? We're out of here. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.